How much inheritance did you receive?
Huh? On the night of my father's funeral, my husband asked me.
I heard your father $30 million in inheritance. How much did you inherit?
I felt a sinking feeling from deep within and lied on the spot. I got nothing. It seems that only my mother and sister inherited everything. Hearing this, my husband smiled broadly.
I knew it. Everyone in your family considered you incompetent. I'm glad I was right.
Huh?
I'm divorcing you. I can't stand being with a dinks like you. I've already found someone else, so get out of my life.
At my husband's behest, I signed the divorce papers. Although everyone laughed at how pitiful I seemed, they didn't realize how happy his betrayal made me. They don't know yet. My name is Emily. I have a younger sister named Catherine in our family of 4. But we never got along since childhood. Our mother always favored Catherine, leaving me feeling lonely. My only ally, my father, was always busy with work. Even in adulthood, nothing changed. I couldn't go to college due to financial reasons. Yet I later found out Catherine was attending a private university.
Catherine is brilliant. It would be a waste not to let her go to college. You're not that smart, Emily, so it would be pointless for you. Now that you're working, you should contribute to the household and also pay for Catherine's tuition. You're the older sister after all.
My mother stated this as if it were the most natural things in the world. Although I had put up with so much unfairness, they were the only ones I can depend on. Catherine, seeing my reaction, responded with disdain. It's your fault for being incompetent, right? You're less attractive and your grades are lower than mine. At least work hard. If you can't even do that, you're truly worthless. I grew wary of my family environment and moved out when I got a job. Living alone was actually liberating, especially since I was used to doing all the chores at home. Initially, my father sent me some money, but after about 6 months, it stopped. Instead, I received a letter from my mother.
It seems your father has been sending you money without me knowing. Since you haven't paid any money to the household or for Catherine's tuition, you have no right to accept it. I'll send you a bill for the exact amount. Make sure to pay it back. Stop being a thief.
My always disdainful mother sent me a meticulously calculated bill, including additional charges for emotional damages. I paid the amount, wanting to avoid further confrontation, and discreetly moved to another apartment. A few years later, I met John at work and decided to marry him. I returned to my family home to announce my engagement. To my surprise, my hard-working father looked frail and elderly. It seems he has trouble standing up.
Oh, you're back. I wonder what the ungrateful daughter who doesn't send any money home wants now.
My mother was as harsh as ever. When I asked about my father, she scoffed and gave a disdainful laugh.
Your father hurt his back last year and can't work anymore. He's such a nuisance being home all the time and can barely move. Just as useless as you, Emily.
John, shocked by my mother's behavior, was then dazzled by Catherine when she entered the room.
Are you Emily's sister? You are very beautiful. I can't believe you are sisters with Emily.
Emily's sister had become more self-centered since entering college, and now, as an adult, she had flamboyant clothing and hair, despite being of age to have already graduated. She seems to still be a student, indicating her study habits. Is that man Emily's husband? He's quite handsome. They don't much at all. I feel so sorry for John. In my view, Catherine was deliberately acting spoiled and flirty towards John. While that was unpleasant, seeing John happily accepting such behavior was much more painful. I don't plan to stay here for long. I'm going to marry John. I will cut ties with this house.
If you're going to cut ties, could you do it after you've finished taking care of your father?
Mother was lethargically eating snacks.
Caring is necessary, but I don't want to do it. And I don't want to make Catherine do such hard work either. It would be pitiful to make her spend her precious college life on such trivial things, wouldn't it? So, Emily, you will care for your father. You'll get along with each other, both of you are incompetent.
Mother's words are infuriating. But for the sake of my father, I couldn't ignore them. Since that day, I had to frequently visit my parents' house to take care of my father. I realized that neither my mother nor sister were working. My sister didn't even have a part-time job, and my mother stayed at home even after my father collapsed. Nevertheless, they indulged in lavish dining out and shopping. Shockingly, the two of them were frivolously spending the savings from my immobilized father's bank book. My father knew about this, but kept silent. Dad, the situation is getting worse. Why didn't you tell me sooner?
Even if I told Emily, they would never reflect on their actions. I didn't want to burden you more than I already have.
My father had always been working, but it was for our family. He was the only one in the family who truly loved me. I wanted to save him somehow. While I was thinking of ways, I received a call from the hospital where he was taken after collapsing. Before going to the hospital, I rushed to my parents' house, but my mother and sister were nonchalantly watching TV. The hospital called. Dad collapsed. Why are you sitting around?
Collapsed? That's an exaggeration. He just fell in the hallway and hit his head. We had him taken by an ambulance. We will leave the rest to them.
We have to go to the hospital. I'm worried about Dad.
Be quiet. If he dies as he is, we'll get the insurance money, won't we? Why are you yelling at us?
I left the two of them and headed to the hospital, where my father was lying unconscious with various tubes connected to him.
I'm sorry. This must be my punishment. I failed as a father, unable to protect you from the family.
That doesn't matter. I love you, Dad. So please get well soon. I was desperately holding my father's hand at his bedside, but he never squeezed my hand back. A week later, I was contacted by a lawyer who was entrusted with a will for my father. It mentioned inheriting my father's assets.
According to the will, all $30 million is to be inherited by Emily.
$30 million? Apparently, there was another bank book hidden from my mother where $30 million was stored. It was also written not to tell the other family members about it. My father must have considered my situation after inheriting. When I went to my parents' house to recover the hidden bank book, my mother and sister were waiting at the entrance hall, confronted me.
What are you doing here? Did you came to snoop around because our father is dead? How vulgar.
We will inherit everything in the house. The house, car, everything. So don't come here like a grave robber. I couldn't discuss the inheritance with the two unlistening individuals, and I found myself at my wit's end. Hold on a minute. I just came to retrieve a keepsake of our father. And if it's about inheritance, shouldn't I get a share too? Then, the mother conspicuously pulled out a certain document to show. It was another will. It stated that the father's inheritance would be split between the mother and sister. But the handwriting on it was clearly the sister's. It looked nothing like the father's neat writing. I was in disbelief looking at the distasteful characters. You want to say this is our father's will?
Think whatever you want. But this is the will. The entire family and even the neighbors are aware of its content. It's too late to overturn it now.
Using such an unbelievable story as a shield. My mother refused to let me step foot into our family home. Later that day, as I gave up and was heading home, John was waiting for me.
You went to your family home? You should have told me. I would have come with you. It's a waste. I wanted to meet your sister.
It's none of your business, John. I want to claim our father's inheritance, but they kicked me out.
Oh, how much is your father's inheritance worth?
I don't know the exact amount, but everything including the house and land was in our father's name. So the total would be significant.
I see. So how much is your share, Emily?
Well, about that. I stopped talking. I couldn't reveal the truth here. I felt an intuition like warning ringing in my brain. I didn't inherit anything. It's being split between my mother and sister. Upon hearing this, John suddenly brought out a divorce form from his room and thrust it at me.
I can't expected that. You're disliked by that family. Of course, they prefer your perfect sister. And no inheritance? How pathetic. Since there's nothing for me to gain, divorce me. I've been in touch with your sister lately, to be honest. You've been in the way of our love.
The divorce form already had John's signature. Without hesitation, I signed it. As I watched John gleefully head to the city office with the divorce papers, I had to suppress a smile. This might be the last time I'd see John so happy. My mother, my sister, all those who have made life difficult for my father and me. This was the beginning of their comeuppance. Later, I consulted with the lawyer who had my father's true will. We decided to visit my family home together. When I showed the two of them the real will, their smug faces turned pale, and they kept rereading it.
No, this can't be. We have another will here that clearly states the inheritance is for just the two of us. Let's get the handwriting verification then, if this is proven to be a deliberate forgery. Fraud charges will apply. Are you prepared enough to be pressed charges?
My mother had no words to respond.
There are various things I've been informed about the deceased. Neglecting care when he was incapacitated, selling personal items without permission, and your sister being involved in frivolous affairs and gambling, even embezzling money from personal bank accounts. Due to these actions, you both have been excluded from the inheritance rights. If you further violate Emily's rights, we're prepared to take legal action.
By the time the lawyer finished speaking, both the mother and sister were stunned and had sunk to the floor. I seized that moment to retrieve my father's hidden bank book and decided to leave my family home for good. I was finally free. Later, I heard that John, oblivious to everything, proposed to my sister. My mother and sister, hiding the truth about the inheritance, quickly married John to use him for living expenses. They even spent lavishly, buying several luxury cars and quitting jobs, all of the hope on the inheritance. When things reached a point of no return, John realized something was up. When he finally discovered there was no inheritance, he hastily contacted me.
Emily, I was wrong. You were the only one for me. I want to start over.
I don't need you. Besides, I thought you're in love with Catherine, aren't you? You should treasure your wife. With that, I hung up, just a few minutes before John's call. I had also received a call from my sister. It's all your fault that my life is now a nightmare. The moment John and I got married, he quit his job and I went on a crazy shopping spree. I can't believe such a money-hungry man became my husband. You even tarnished my family registry. What are you up to? Catherine, you're just interested in money. I think you two make a perfect couple. Moreover, it seems you were close with John when he was still married to me. You should be happy your affair has come to fruition. I'll be requesting alimony for his infidelity later. From now on, let's communicate through a lawyer. I don't want to hear your voice again. You're my sister. I can't believe you could do such a things to me. Don't make me laugh. It was you who never treated me as family. I hung up on my sister. I blocked her number, ensuring she could never reach me again. I was finally free. Now, I've built a house using my father's inheritance and moved in. I started a new job as an office worker, and despite being busy, I'm enjoying my independent life. There are times I feel lonely, but I know I have a family. I'll be going out again today, Dad. It felt like the photo of my father, displayed in my house, gave me a gentle smile.